Check out this little Riverside. The Riverside travel trailer. We don't know all what's wrong with it. We do know it needs a roof. We'll go up here and take a look. No awning on this slide out. I stay on these stairs. When you get old, can't keep climbing ladders. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Ooh. I think we got some damage here. You've got one of these type of vent caps on your plumbing. A lot of times they don't seal like right inside there where this leg comes down. There's a screw, there's a screw, there's a screw. And a lot of times that isn't sealed. And the water gets in there, it gets behind the screw. So you may want to look for that. But boy, look at all this trash. You can see all these leaves and everything down inside here. So the thing I don't like about the way they do these air conditioners, as you can see, it was just sitting right up here. Look at all the debris that gets underneath there. What that debris does, it will start to dry out the gasket. That's a little foam gasket that's up underneath there. And when it dries it out, you start to get leaks. So putting it on a curb is a smart thing to do. That's the way it's done on a commercial level anyways. If you can Google commercial roof images and you'll see my roofs are the same thing. I just had to fabricate and design things to fit for an RV. So we've got an antenna here. Boy, that's dirty. Probably one of the dirtiest roofs I've seen. Don't know about all this. Oh, looks like the awning's all coming apart right there.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wrong way.
Hey, that's good. If you got one of these antennas, the water is going to run down here and it'll go into that little gap and then it'll run down. So see, that just goes right into the roof. So you want to make sure all that's sealed and all that's sealed. So that's about us. They're opening a slide out on the other side. Alright, that's us so far, but it's an old real dirty roof. I mean, crazy bad dirty, like filthy dirty, right? You can see. So trying to do better with the camera work here. I've had some comments, people getting dizzy, needing some Dramamine, is getting seasick from watching my videos. So like I said, we'll tear all this off. We'll see what's underneath it. We redeck them anyways. I want to see all what's going on, but I don't know all what else we have to do to this either. So we'll find out. We'll be back. All right, looks like we got a little bit of rot right here. And I think this side is got some water in it, in the actual wall and everything. We're going to check that out too. But overall, not nearly as bad as I thought, especially as dirty as it was. Gee whiz. So we started pulling up some of the OSB. We'll be replacing it with plywood. But boy, they kind of got chintzy on the insulation, didn't they? Hopefully it isn't all like that. We'll check it out. And then, like I said, we'll tear this roof off, get some plywood on here. But we'll have to check that wall. All right, so you can see we got everything all taken off here. You got some quality OSB trusses right here. Yeah, hence the sarcasm. So you can notice there isn't any glue on these. There isn't any glue. They're not glued down. It's just popped right up. Boom. Use some staples. We'll have to fix this end of the truss. It's rotted for sure. But some of the other things, and this is a super tight wire. Like there's barely any slack on it. You can see that whole thing is super tight. And the concern that I have, so now you go to put it on, here's your gutter, you go to put your gutter on, or even staples like this. This wire being right here, they put a protector in there, protection. I don't know if you can see it, I'm going to try and see if I can show you. But way down inside there, that little ring going around that wire, that is called a metal ferrule. And the ferrule, the purpose of it is just a piece of hardened steel, so This way, when you go to put a screw in there, it's not going to compromise the wire. Now that is pretty smart. That's what's got to be done, so you don't ruin the wire. However, I don't know if I can find that daggone flashlight I had, the little flashlight. But, I don't know if you can see, I try zooming up. And what happens is, the wire starts digging in, see all that? It starts digging into the ferrule. And you can see how it's all compromised right there. So we got to fix that. And they should do it. When I say that these manufacturers don't put in one more resistant, they don't. They will not. The fix on this thing is real simple. Let's see if I got any over here. If not, I'll find them. It's just a bushing that we put in there. And the bushing is probably about a penny. I know there are a couple more, maybe 2 cents, but that's because the way I buy them at the store. But I'm sure if they bought them in bulk, they'd be a penny. And that's what I say, and they're red. Hence my pun. They don't put in another red cent. So that's what we're looking for, especially on those 120 lines. Because now, here's another one. Let's see how good. These ones are real tight as well. See if I can get any slack on it. So you can see. You see that metal ferrule right here? That's what I'm talking about. And right here. See how it's digging in? This one got a little bit more slack on it. Let's see. You can see it right there. I can turn the camera. So we're going to check all those and get protection on them. We'll vacuum this whole thing out. The other thing we're going to do is going to look for any compromised duct line. Make sure that's all sealed up right. And then we'll put it back together. For now, we're checking out. Went inside and we saw some rot in there. And we're suspicious that there's rot down in this wall and in this corner. So that's what we're going to explore right now, and then we'll show you what we got. Alright, check out all the rot we got on here. We got the floor part out. You can see that's just coming apart. These guys are, it's gone. That floor is all rotted. Look at the rot right there. So but there's a rot down there. Alright, so now we get the floor out, the rotted floor, and you can see we got this. See if I put this light down out of the way. So you can see if this shows. Ah, it does show up. All right. So you can see that's all rotted right there. So we got to replace that. But the bigger problem that I see right here is this joint right there. See that joint? That's just a little piece that comes out, and it's just butted up against there. So now when this slide out comes out, all that weight's going to be sitting on there, and there's nothing to hold it. All this is just wall. There's no support underneath here. So it's just going to be sitting on that wall. So we're going to take this one and we're going to run it back all the way up underneath. See if I can get my camera right. All the way back up underneath here. We'll secure it in. That'll be. This is the actual chassis is up underneath this underbelly. The black you're seeing is underbelly. So this is all rotted. We'll remove that, of course. And then, like I said, we're going to run a piece all the way up underneath there to get some more strength. And then we'll bring this one up to it. But that'll still be sitting on the chassis. And then what we're probably going to do is bring them out coming this way to get a little bit more strength on it. It'd probably be easier to do that because now that we cut this, we need something else to join the plywood to it, and we're not going to be able to do that unless we run another whole piece all the way under. Don't go around the pipe and all this stuff. That's just crazy. So it's going to be easier to run these all the way back this way, bring it out, and then fill in the bays or as a blocker. We'll put them in there, and we can, at least it'll all be sitting on the frame. So you'll have them all going, again, you're going in the opposite direction and fill it out. So then we get this other one over here. This one's all rotted right here. And then we got some here. So we got a little bit to do. Then we'll have to reframe all of this. But it was easier to do it this way. We left the cabinet in there. And what we did is made a relief cut on the cabinet. We'll probably put some dress molding or something on there. Make it look appropriate. But to try to get this out, the way they put this in is they put the cabinet in. This is obviously the inside wall. And then they just stapled it. You can see the staples right here. Those are all the staples. And they just staple it all in. So for us to try to get that out, and then up in the top, you can see it's so tight to the ceiling. I didn't want to beat up the ceiling for that. So it was going to be a bugger to take it out. So we just said the heck with it. We'll do it this way. And that's the least collateral damage we can do on it, and we'll get it all fixed up. So that's the plan, Stan. And then we'll re-insulate it, yada yada yada, and put it all back together. Obviously this piece that we're missing right here, because you're looking inside the cabinet, that's going to be a fresh piece. You can see it's all rotted right there, so we're going to remove all that nonsense, get rid of it, all that rot, get it all back the way it should be. You can see down here, that's what I was talking about, how rotted that is, and that's where all the weight of the slide's going to be sitting on when it's fully extended, and it's not going to have enough to hold that, to give it any strength, that not the strength that we're going to need. So we're going to redo that piece, like this one down here, like I just said, the aforementioned. That's a $4 word right there. Aforementioned process. All right. Okay, so now we got our framing done. Squeeze through all this mess. We've got all our framing done, and now we're going to put the decking on there. You can see all that glue we put in there, and then everything's all pocket screwed and everything, so it's all nice and tight. And then we got these boards sitting over here. You really don't need these ones in the center. We got one here, and then one there, and then we replace that other one over there. That's going way up underneath to give it the support, but yet there is a frame over there. After I looked, there is one right here in this corner up underneath, but still, I mean, we want to have that thing as strong as we can get for the slide out. Over here in this corner, this stick coming up, that's fine. It's just water stained, so there's no sense in poking that bare. We want to try and get it back together, but if it was, I mean, it's solid, it's just discolored, that's all it is. So we're going to get this thing back together, put the insulation in it, put the flooring, you know, the decking, the subfloor on there, and then put everything back together. All right, and away we go. Well, we have got her back together down here. So what we did is down here, if you remember from the previous clip, we had just a little bit of rot on that panel on the inside. It wasn't worth tearing it all out because then the wallpaper wouldn't match or anything. It wasn't molded or anything like that. It was just kind of delaminated a little bit. So what we did is glued a piece of rigid board to it to keep it tight right here on this lower end. And then we just filled it back in with the typical insulation that it came with. And then on the back wall, the customer had concern about the back wall being rotted, but it's not rotted, so there's no need for that. All this is just water stained. That's all it is, just water stained. There's just a couple of notches that we made when we were cutting some of this wrapped around, and we couldn't get all the staples out, so we just cut it all down there and cut it out of the way. So that's so far that's where we're at. We're going to be putting this siding back on. And what were you trying to say?
Added the nailers.
Oh yeah, then we just put some nailers in here to carry the bunk. The way the bunk was put in there, we put these in to carry the bunk, but the way they did it is they just stapled it all across there, and that's just not good enough. So that's why we put the nailers in there, so we'll have some good stock to screw to. So other than that, everything's all together. That slice that we had to make under there, this frame that comes around for the lower bunk's going to cover that. You're not going to see it. Just made on that side, there's just right there at the edge, you can see that rail right there. You can see that little cut. That's about the only collateral damage we had in here. So that's not bad. And then everything else is going to get covered up. So we got our wall all back together. Already showed you all that. And now what we're doing is getting the decking on. And this insulation was real minimal, So what we did is fill the rest of it in with some blown in insulation, as you can see. I want to get a little more insulation. It was real thin, so down here it was okay. When you get in the center, there isn't very much. So we want to add a little bit more on there. And then now what we're going to do is glue the trusses. We'll glue everything down so we can glue the trusses so we can staple down the decking. And this is what we're going to be using, is 1/2 inch VC grade plywood. That's 99.9% of the time, that's what we're going to use. Once in a while I'll have to use OSB, only if the coach is over 8 foot, because you can't get plywood in 10-foot lengths. And if you did, I'm sure it's quite expensive. It's all special order, you have a minimum amount to buy, blah blah blah. So anyhow, sometimes you can use another style, but anyhow, you get my point. We use plywood. We're done with our little Riverside. Got the floor all squared away, the inside's all done, everything's all set. Went around some caulking, got all this, the lights. Here's our little tag, RVRI, February 23. So now, when this comes back for inspections, we know when the roof was put on, how it's doing, how it's faring, and all that. Also, if you ever went to sell it, then he goes, hey, just had the roof put on. All right, so the roof itself is a 60 mil commercial grade roof membranes, TPO. TPO stands for thermoplastic olefin. So that's what makes it so you can weld it together. It's fusible. You put some heat to it, it all blends together and all heats, you know, and melts together, basically fuses together. So all the curves, all custom made. Everything I do, I custom make here. I make every piece for these roof systems. So we've got the that's plumbing over there, and obviously you got a vent, another plumbing, refrigerator, and we also redesigned that right there, that antenna. You got a new one, so we put it up on these, basically these mounts. And if you ever had an issue with this antenna, all he has to do is just undo those bolts with a 9/16 wrench, pop it off, undo the coax, go in, get a new one, drop another one on there. Easy, done. Same thing, we got a radio antenna over there. And all of this is all heat welded together. Everything is all heat welded, all of this. There's no glue, it's not just glued down. Now the decking itself, this big piece is glued down, but all of the other components that go with it, those are all welded. So we've got all the, and you can notice like right on that edge, you can see the difference in color. And that's how much penetration we got from the heat. As the gun puts out, you know, over 1,000 degrees. So it gets pretty hot and it melts it together. So we've got the curves right there will prevent any water from basically an erosion effect. So if you've ever thought about putting a spray roof on here and say, hey, I'm going to do a spray roof. We've got videos on spray roofs, I think, that we've done. We've did a couple of those. They don't fare well. And also the problem with the spray roofs, they don't solve the problem. I have a video on there, it's titled even RV armor thinks we're better, something along those lines. But I bet if you just put in RV armor on my search for my videos, you'd see it. I don't know how to do all those links and say, hey, it's there, it's here, or whatever. I don't. I just take the camera and I go in video, and then we take all the clips, mash them all together, and put the movie together. But anyhow, the video is up on there within that 1 minute mark. We'll go to their side if you want. It's on the air conditioners, and one of the guys is down on the ground, and he says, hey, so what do you do about air conditioners? And he's leaning up on the air conditioner. He says, well, talks about all what he does and so forth, and within that 1 minute mark, he says, if this was a commercial roof, it would have a curb with flashing and counter flashing. So he knows that's the way you're supposed to do it, but they don't do it that way. So if you don't have these curbs, it's going to leak, period. Watch all the videos that get up there, 200 plus videos, and you'll see most of the damage is coming from protrusions like this, like your antenna. Like anywhere there's a hole and they had to do something to kind of keep the water out, that's where it's going to leak, because it doesn't work that well. When you do these, a commercial flat roof, they all have curves. You can go to and just go online and put a search in for commercial flat roof images, and you will see the air conditioners, you'll see the vents, you'll see even plumbing or wires or anything of that nature. They'll either be in a boot, air conditioner will be up on a curb. You'll see all this. That's the way it's designed. That's how it works. That's how it functions. If you don't have it, it's going to leak. You get an erosion effect out of it, and that's why you have to have the curbs. So, all that said, this is literally a commercial roof downsized to fit and function for an RV or a camper. So when we tell folks, hey, I do RV roofs, I put roofs on RVs, I just don't do RV roofing, because that stuff is crap. So, again, he should have some covers on here. I'd recommend him to get some covers, and I just don't have any in stock for him. And the guy who owns this, he's pretty handy anyways. He can throw some covers on there. And other than that, everything's all done. Like I said, there's all heat welded, all of this right here. So there's no way it can leak. So the warranty is real simple. We like it to come back 30 to 60 days at max, 30, 60. So when I say 30, sometimes people go, well, I got some things to do, and it may be, you know, instead of 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, you know, maybe 6. But my point is, I want to check it out. I want to see it. We did a lot of work on it. I want to make sure all the work we did is done properly or is lasting properly. I know the work is done properly. I want to make sure the products are done properly, meaning the caulking's holding up and all that. These things rack and twist and flex so much. It's prudent to do your initial inspection. Then after that, once a year, you can wash the roof with some dish soap. You can bring it to a truck wash and have them spray wash it, or if you want to get up here with a little pressure washer and wash it yourself. So one of the other things we did is replace the awning fabric. He already had all this for here, and also for his slide out, we put that on for him as well. So that's about the gist of the roof system. So the material, let's see if I found a piece. Here's a piece over here. So this is the material right here. You can see all those little squares in there. There's a mesh that's inside there, and that mesh, that scrim, it's a nylon, and you can see all these little whiskers coming out. That's what gives it its strength for to resist hail and to resist tree branches and things like that. And that's why on some of the ones that we get that are really crazy, that are, you know, maybe some of the roof lines go up and down and they're this way and that way, the roof doesn't want to sit that way. It only wants to sit two-dimensionally. So for me to get that to dance like that on some of the other ones, I have to put in a couple other sheets and weld them together, because you'll get a bubble and a ripple in there. So, but other than that, we're done. So we went over, and then the warranty again, come over once a year, we inspect it, and you know, we'll take care of the roof. It's that simple. Now the material itself comes with a 20-year material warranty. That's how they all do it. Dicor does it. Every commercial company manufacturer does it that way. You just get the warranty on the material. They don't know who's installing it. They don't know how good of an installer they are or how bad. So they will not obviously extend the warranty to say, hey, this would never leak. They don't know. They don't know us. So they're not going to do that. That's why we want you to come back. So we check our own work. We'll do it for you. We got no problem with that. This is the other awning fabric I was saying that we replaced. So the other thing we did is we got 2 strikes of caulking all around the coach. You always want to put 2 strikes of caulking, especially up on here. You probably get away with it around the windows. We did go around the tops of the windows and everything. But when you run that caulking gun, you'll hear it pop or crackle, and you'll just inject it in air bubble. So if you start getting this coach to rack and twist and flex, you could breach that air bubble. And if you breach that air bubble, then you have to, you may have a leak. So what are the chances of having one air bubble over another one? That's why we put 2 strikes on there. So then this here, this insert trim is, I have to special order all this stuff. So keep that in mind, that these are not DIY videos. And also, we don't sell anything at all. We don't sell anything, period. But this insert trim, I have the same thing. It's just here in black. But this is typically what the RV centers use, is like this one. And this just slides in that track. You can kind of see it just slides in there. So now the water will get down as it's rolling. It'll get down, and then it'll get stuck in this track like that. You get debris and everything in there. So we use this one here. I like this because it's got a little groove on the side. See it? So you get some light in there. Let's see it this way. There's a groove there. It actually sits in this track, so it snaps in, and it's underneath and it's over on top of this. So I like that a lot better. I feel that it keeps more water out or moisture out, and I like to try to keep as much out as I can. But that's your insert trim. And let's see, what else did I go over? I want to thank the customer for bringing us the coach. We really appreciate the work. You know, some folks come a long ways, and we want to make sure that we get this thing right before they go anywhere. So that's why we take the time to do all the work we do, like even on this particular one, like the floor. But the customer did think that the wall was rotted, but that wasn't the case. So we fixed what we needed, and got everything back together for him. So it should he should be real happy with all that. Well, that's all we get today. And also keep in mind that we don't quote on social media. So if you're interested in having a roof done, you get some questions, just give us a call. We should have a card posted up on there. All our information is on that card, and you can reach out and email us or so forth, and we'll be glad to help you out. Thanks for watching. So in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. So what you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I I gotta stop that leak. You wanna get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. You just squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. What you gonna talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we get a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. There it is. Now you got the film. We'll take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can, and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That's simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of, there's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we got that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here, this part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch, and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.